Finally, we have your main event, Champion Showcase Triple Threat match. SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley versus NXT Women's Champion Shayna Baszler and Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch. Now, them going on as the main event would suggest that they'd have something planned, especially main event in such a big show like Survivor Series. They did actually name drop Ronda Rousey on commentary, which makes you think that Rousey wasn't going to appear. Spoiler, she doesn't. They just had this as main event, I guess, just to showcase the women. But, yeah, I mean, let's get into this. I'll save my thoughts for after the match. Raw at this point can't win, so it's only NXT and SmackDown that NXT could win or SmackDown could tie overall. We have Shayna Baszler and Bayley brawling to start the match. Becky Lynch takes out both Bayley and Shayna off the apron with a drop kick. Bayley almost goes for like a sunset flip or something like this, but I mean, she just completely crashed into corner. It would just look like a massive botch. It just did not look good at all. Bayley sells being afraid of Shayna very well. Baszler stomps on the elbow of Becky Lynch. Shayna hits the running knee onto Bayley. Shayna then hits Becky Lynch with a stiff kick to the face. Bayley begins to attack Becky Lynch. She rubs Becky's face into the canvas. Becky Lynch hits a back exploder suplex on Shayna Baszler and a stiff kick to Bayley. Becky then hits her leg drop from the second rope onto Bayley, but Shayna breaks up the pinfall. How that's even like a thing at this point nowadays is kind of beyond me. I mean, that leg drop, they always do it like it's a close near fall, but it's just a leg drop from second rope. She doesn't even jump, she kind of falls off. So yeah, not a fan of that spot. Becky Lynch then locks in the disarmer onto Bayley, but Shayna breaks it up. There are a few chants here of boring during this match at this point. The crowd was, particularly dead for this one. I mean, we said about them being dead at certain points tonight, but they were particularly dead for this. Shayna does some ground and pound on Bayley, a suplex for a 2 count. We also get some chants of CM Punk during this match here. We have Becky and Shayna squaring off in the ring, trading shots, but Bayley takes out both with a crossbody. Becky Lynch, and this might be just my thing, and I'm sure I'm going to get criticised by the Becky Lynch fan accounts on social media, but she seemed very, very choreographed tonight, and some of her spots just seemed so obvious, and just like you knew where she was going afterwards or where the counter was coming. It just seemed a bit, I don't know, it was just too obvious with that. Shayna locks in the Kirifuda clutch on Bayley, but Becky Lynch breaks it up by locking Shayna into a powerbomb, slamming her for a 2 count. Becky Lynch then locks in the disarmer onto Shayna again, but Baszler counters and locks in the Kirifuda clutch, but Bayley breaks it up. Bayley then came down hard on the apron, looked like she hurt her hip there. Crowd at this point again was just booing loudly. They didn't seem too thrilled at all with the main event, and I can't exactly blame him. It just, not good. Shayna then throws Becky onto the announce table. Shayna then locks in the Kirifuda clutch, but Bayley rolls it into a pinning position. Bayley then goes for the jumping outer from the top, but Shayna counters once again into the Kirifuda clutch. Bayley taps, and Shayna Baszler wins. So Shayna Baszler wins that match. Didn't see that finish coming. Shayna just dispatches Becky and Bayley, no angle. So that would have the final Survivor Series results at Raw 1, NXT 4, SmackDown 2. NXT dominates and wins overall at Survivor Series. Raw just gets smacked around, I guess. Post-match, Shayna Baszler celebrates over Becky Lynch on the announce table, but then Becky Lynch starts to attack Shayna. 2 leg drops Shayna Baszler through the German announce table, which, just didn't make any sense. What kind of... Becky Lynch, I know she's meant to be the Steve Austin style babyface, or she's not a traditional white meat babyface, blah, 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 but she's a babyface at the end of the day. And what kind of babyface gets really pissy because they lost and attacks the winner after the match? It's just such a heel thing to do. It gives you the impression they're a bad loser, they're a sore loser. It just didn't make any sense to me. That just didn't make any sense at all. Why couldn't you just let Shayna Baszler stand tall? It just didn't make any sense. The match, by far, easily the worst match on the show. The pacing was slow. There wasn't a lot of chemistry. I thought Becky's spots looked just overly choreographed, and the whole match just didn't work for me. I thought if they're going to have this match to the main event, that they're fixing to do a big angle, but nothing happened. Just nothing. Not even, I'm not talking about any potential angles and returns of Ronda Rousey, etc., etc. But nothing happened in the match. Nothing happened. It just didn't work out. The crowd didn't care for it. Now, the crowd, again, wasn't fantastic tonight. I'm not saying they were amazing, especially for a Chicago crowd, which you expect for them to be just hot, red hot throughout the whole match. But even in the matches where the crowd was quiet or the crowd was recovering from a previous match, good quality matches won them over. Look at the Adam Cole match. It was quiet at the start. Look at the male Survivor Series match. The crowd was quiet at the start. Look at the Lesnar match. Look at the Fiends match. At the end, the crowd was into it. But they weren't into this one. And to be honest, neither was I. As I mentioned on the preview video, NXT come out on top here overall. They came out on top on the interactions on WWE TV leading up to this match, so they had to win some matches at Survivor Series. That was the big concern, wasn't it? Are they going to win some matches at Survivor Series? Now, they had the wins building up to Survivor Series to position them as a credible threat to Raw and SmackDown, but it would have meant nothing if they hardly won a match here. So, for me, the whole show was about elevating NXT as this credible third brand on a par to Raw and SmackDown, and they've effectively hit that goal by winning the matches and winning overall. To me, it shows that Vince McMahon does not like losing, ladies and gentlemen, and this proved it. This was an entire pay-per-view to get the NXT brand over. So it'll be interesting to see Wednesday how well NXT draws on the USA Network post-Survivor Series when they rival AEW Dynamite once again. Because Dynamite has been winning in the ratings. Obviously, NXT won for the first time this past week with a loaded show, including Raw and SmackDown stars. But with just the NXT stars, can they outdraw Dynamite? This pay-per-view was to elevate every member of the NXT roster, and I think they just about did that. So the ratings this week are going to be very, very interesting indeed. As far as the main event, just whoever decided that was going to be the correct positioning of match orders for the show needs a fine or a slap in the face or something, because it just didn't work. It just didn't work. The crowd was flat. They didn't like it. And they're not flat just because, it was a women's match. Some people are going to still hate women's wrestling. There was nothing wrong with women's wrestling on this show. Look at the opening match of the show. The wrestling was great. The match itself just didn't deliver. And that's the problem. But overall, I thought this was a tremendous show until the main event, when the show came to a screeching halt. But take the main event out and you have a tremendous show. I think it's one of the best, if not the best, WWE pay-per-view you've seen this year. And we've had some absolute clunkers. So take the main event out. I thought it was a tremendous show.